Coming up, we have part 6 of our 7 resorts in 7-day series. Today we're talking about Disney's Boardwalk Resort. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Diz Unplugged. This is the Diz Unplugged, episode 783 for February 21st, 2015. The Diz Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. Let the experts at Dreams Unlimited help you to understand all your options when booking one of Disney's all-inclusive vacation packages. Just visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table by my good friends Dustin West,
Hello.
Jenny Lynn Knopp, Kathy Whirling, Corey Martin, and back in the production nook, our associate producer, Craig Williams, and on Skype, joining us from Indianapolis, Indiana, the lovely and talented Mr. Will Perry. So we are talking about Disney's Boardwalk Resort today, and before we get into too much, let's just do a little bit of background. Opened July 1st, 1996, along with the Yacht and Beach Club, was designed by the architect Robert A.M. Stern. 378 hotel rooms make up the Boardwalk Inn side of this resort, and 383 DVC units make up the Villas side. This was built from the ground up to be both a DVC resort and a hotel. It is the rooms are slightly smaller than you will find at your average deluxe resort at 380 square feet. You will notice as the construction date gets later, the room size gets smaller. Again, Disney figuring out that 20 square feet over several hundred rooms means more rooms. Interestingly enough, it is the Boardwalk is the only place on Disney property that you will find a microbrewery, which was a special significance to most of the members of our team. And that is, of course, the Big River Grill that's located right on the Boardwalk. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But before we get too much further in, we do have an overview of the Boardwalk to show you, and we'll go ahead and play that now. All right, so let's chat about the Boardwalk. The check-in process here was, they were very nice. I won't say that they were rude or anything. They were very nice. It's just, the challenges with magic bands, which we did experience at virtually all the resorts, and mainly because all the rooms were in my name, and I have a collection of magic bands that could choke a horse. I'm on property a lot. I stay on property a lot. I'm a sucker for the magic bands. I have one in every color, and when the specialty ones come out for the parties and things like that, I got to have one. So, there was a lot of conflicting information. I still don't know what the correct information is in terms of what is the maximum number of magic bands you can have under one name or on one My Disney Experience account. We were told there is no limit. We were told 32. We were told 16. And again, this is one of Disney's challenges, is about making this information, I think, a little more uniform and communicating that better to the frontline cast members, because what they were having to do was to deactivate some of my other bands so that these bands would work. It was also partly my fault for having so many bands and not bringing any of them with me. So I do need to throw that out there too, that had I brought one of my bands with me, and I don't know, it was like one of those mental blocks I was having that particular week, that I just kept forgetting to bring my magic band.
I have a massive pile of those gray magic bands that don't have your name etched into them, the ones they give you because you forgot one.
Yeah. And so I also have to accept some responsibility for that. But so that made check-in process a bit more arduous. The rooms at the Boardwalk are, I love these rooms. They're beautiful. They're very, very elegant. Kind of there's that touch of Victorian elegance to them, with the golden and white striped wallpaper, and then you have the red accents in there. So that gold and red and white.
There's a lot of jewel tones in the rooms.
Jewel tone, very good word.
And they kind of, thanks.
Jewel tones.
What are jewel tones? I don't know.
The colors of
jewels.
Oh.
Gold and ruby.
Not ringtones.
Okay, yeah, not jewel ringtones.
And not drool tones.
I like the contrast of it. There's also contrasting patterns in the rooms, which there's a side of me where I feel like that doesn't quite fit, toil with stripes and such. But at the same time, there's still an element of elegance. Elegance without being stuffy. It's elegance with a splash of fun.
And you gotta stop and think about how difficult it is to design that way, where you want to convey that sense of elegance and refinement without making people feel uncomfortable. We were talking about that with the Grand Floridian, and that's when I stop and think about it, that really is kind of challenging for any place to do. How do you create that elegance yet warm and comfortable feeling? And I think the Boardwalk does that extremely, extremely well and very comfortably. It's a very comfortable room to be in.
It is.
We've mentioned this a couple times with in these 7 and 7 resorts, and there's a handful of these newly renovated or refurbished rooms that go with that simplistic design. It still keeps all the elements that you would expect in the Boardwalk, except it gets rid of a lot of the complicated patterns that made it very early 90s.
Right.
And I love the modern take on this Boardwalk room. It was it is very comfortable. I like the deluxe rooms that have the couches in them. I think having that extra seating space is one of my favorite things about the deluxe rooms, because that's pretty standard. So they are very comfortable.
Something else to add about the deluxe rooms, I stayed in one over New Year's Eve, because I spent New Year's Eve at Epcot. And we were talking about the smaller size of the room at the Boardwalk for the standard. In contrast, the Boardwalk Deluxe room that I was in was so large, I felt like I should have been holding a yoga class in it.
Yeah, the Deluxe
huge.
rooms are huge.
It was so large. I walked in and held my breath because it was shocking.
Did you have
how
one that
large
had
it
the
was.
seating area? You had the beds and then the seating area off on its own.
Yep.
That's
and it was gorgeous. The balcony, you could go out there in the evenings, and I had a pretty decent view of the fireworks that were at Epcot. But that is something about the boardwalk too. Along with the Grand Floridian, it doesn't have as many room categories as the Grand Floridian, but there are a lot of room categories. So you have a choice from a lot of different styles that you could go with.
Well, I know that back in April of last year, I put my mom and her sisters, my aunts, they were in town for a weekend, and I put them up at the boardwalk, and we had one of those deluxe rooms, and they were out of their minds. I mean, this was perfect for my mother is 84, my Aunt Edith is 86, my Aunt Janice is a bit younger, but still, I mean, the three of them just went nuts over this room, and it was especially for three of them, it was plenty of room.
It's the space. It just smacks you right in the face, especially if you're going to be there with a family with young children and you've got all the equipment like the strollers and you come in with all the toys. And this room is actually a great fit, I think, because you've got space for the equipment and then a whole lot of floor room for kids to play, and you don't feel crowded at all.
That's the deluxe one, right?
That would be the deluxe.
So
I forget the couch that's in the standard room. Does that fold into a?
You mean, is it a day bed?
Yes.
I don't believe it is. I don't
Okay.
believe
No.
there's enough room for that to.
I wouldn't.
I was about to say because
It's not a
that
pull-out.
that would be weird.
It might,
because it's in the way.
You could probably sleep on
Yeah.
it as a bed, but it's not
Yeah.
going to pull out. I don't think
Yeah.
because there's not enough room.
Between that and the foot of the bed.
Right, exactly. Now we also got a villa, a 1-bedroom villa on the DVC side, and I have to be honest with you. It wasn't that it wasn't nice, but it was my least favorite of all the DVC rooms that we stayed in on this trip. I can't sit here and say it was because it was worn or dated or any of that, although it kind of is.
It is dated. I don't feel like it was as dated as the Beach Club one.
No, but I liked the beach. The feel of the Beach Club villa was much warmer for me than this was.
Sorry, I think walking in there, though, whenever I got in for the first time, it looked exactly like the Wilderness Lodge layout because it is the exact same layout. You had that counter on the left and the couch on the right. It had that exact same layout, but it just wasn't as nice.
It wasn't the layout I had a problem with. It was the feel.
Yeah.
The colors, the general feel of it did not appeal to me. That's a personal thing.
It was like, for me, like looking at the photo, it's pattern overload. I mean, it just like the every other tile is a different color, and the tons of patterns on the carpet, and it's just
Yeah, it's
the backsplash. I mean, every other tile it's
one of the first impressions I had walking into this room was, okay, time to redo this.
Well,
Time to redo this.
I think this is the one that we went to that did not have stainless steel appliances, and the kitchen was not as updated.
Beach Club had that too.
Yeah,
that was still outdated.
That's a sign that it's kind of either coming up on or slightly past its expiration date. I was not a fan of this particular villa. Who stayed in the villa that night? Did anybody stay in the villa that night? Will, where were you at the boardwalk?
I stayed in the standard room.
You were in the room. Oh, that's right. I was in the villa, wasn't I?
Did you guys?
Yeah, I
you
did.
guys
I
stayed
did.
in.
Wow. God, who stayed?
It's all
With
every
coming
room
back to
was
me.
everyone was used. So.
Yeah, I stayed. And maybe that's why I didn't like it. Or maybe because I'm having trouble recalling it. And that's pretty sad.
Blocked it.
I blocked it out of my memory. Well, honestly, my memory is not. It's really bad. Honest to God, I'm like getting concerned that it's early onset of something. Or maybe I just did too much damage for too many years and I just don't have enough brain cells anymore. But I was not particularly happy with.
I think the color scheme of the boardwalk is in need of a little bit of updating because it's very citrus. it's a lot of contrasting bright citrusy colors and or mints and oranges and.
That's kind of the feel you get from the DVC portion, but on the opposite end, where we already talked about the standard room,
those are very nice.
Even though it's a kind of a shameless plug for the show, but like Boardwalk Empire on HBO, that's the only experience I have with the Boardwalk. I've never been on the Jersey Boardwalk, Atlantic City, all that. I don't know anything about it beyond that show, but I feel like it there.
Well, this represents Atlantic City at the turn of the century, the turn of the 20th century. So nothing in Atlantic City or on the Jersey Shore looks like this now. Okay, nothing.
What? There's no Guidos running around?
Or we'll maybe get some hookers on the boardwalk, and you're going for good theme. But overall, I love the boardwalk. I absolutely love the boardwalk, and I love the rooms on the inside. The in rooms I love. I'm not a fan of the rooms on the villa side. I'm just not. I don't.
All they would have
I don't like their look. Now, again, if they would do a complete refresh and completely redesign the feel of these rooms, might be different.
I want to stay at the villas that have the little white fence.
Yes, those are the honeymoon suites. I was going to say
those are the rose garden.
I did
suites.
get some time in with Concierge. There was the sweetest little man sitting at that concierge desk.
He was tiny?
Pete. He was slender. And he just sat and talked to me like I was his best friend. It was wonderful, and he showed me around the common areas of the concierge level a little bit. The lounge is very nice, and I got to look over at the honeymoon suites, and they're just so quaint and awesome. I actually talked about it on my other show. I want to stay in one of those so badly.
They're adorable. I believe they're called the Rose Garden. The Rose Garden suites, because they have rose bushes out in front.
They have their own little yards.
You have a small area. I don't believe there's any kitchen. There's not a kitchen in it.
No.
But you've got a nice little seating area when you walk in, and then the bedroom. It's a loft bedroom that's upstairs.
Yeah.
And I've stayed in one before, and they are absolutely adorable. They're also they're adorable until you see the price.
Yeah.
And then they're not so adorable anymore.
It looks like a little neighborhood out there.
It does.
It is.
It's cute.
It's very cute. But again, we talk about the multiple. That's on the inside, though. That's
it's
not
a little
on
bit deceiving, because you think of something with a yard being able to sleep a family, but they're actually very tiny inside.
Yeah, they
Some
are.
of them you can only sleep two.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
Well, honeymoon suite. So.
You never know.
Yeah, it's like I said, on the inside, I love the rooms. The villa side, I'm not as big a fan. Let's talk about some of the dining options. Some really good dining options here. Two restaurants that I'm fond of. I'm not gonna say they're my favorites, but I'm very fond of is the Flying Fish, which is the big signature restaurant and very popular. And Big River Grill is another one, which is table service, but a lot more casual. This is the microbrewery I was mentioning earlier.
Oh, yeah.
You have the new Trattoria Al Forno, which is taking the place of Kakora's. And I have not been in there yet to eat, so I can't speak at all to the food.
Aesthetically, it's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we walked inside and I wanted to steal some of the napkins and the silverware right off the table.
Yeah.
So it looked good on the inside.
You guys had dinner at Flying Fish. I wasn't there. How was your dinner at Flying Fish?
I've had dinner at Flying Fish before, and it's always an incredible meal. It really is up there. I mean, everything comes out quality, and I always love it there.
It's a rare occasion that I'm going to eat calamari. One of the places I will eat calamari.
Oh, really? Wow.
And I'll tell you why. It's not because the calamari itself is prepared in a special way that I think that it's the best calamari. It's that sauce, that dipping sauce that they have for that calamari. I would put that on cereal. It is so good.
Wow.
It is so good.
I think Will got that, and that was his first time dipping into calamari that also featured the mini octopi and all that in there. And
That's the best part.
Look at the smile on his face.
yeah, we had to get over that hump on
I'm in the
that
same
level.
boat as
But
Pete. I don't really like calamari, but it was good at Flying Fish. I did enjoy it.
Flying Fish, as the name suggests, is very good at seafood, and if you do like seafood, it is incredible.
You know, I
experience.
moved off of the room discussion without talking to Will about how he felt staying on the inside. What was your impression of staying in the room?
Yeah, the room was nice. It was, it was clean. It was updated. From the pictures of the villa, very big difference from my room to your room. I watched a little bit of the Colts game in that room, so I enjoyed the TV. The balcony was great. A lot of space. I agree with Corey, though, a little bit pattern overload. But as far as being comfortable and clean, yeah, it's great. The Boardwalk, my first time to the Boardwalk, this is probably the place that I would pick if I was going to come back and stay at Crescent Lake of all the Disney properties. I think this is the one I would pick.
So between Yacht Club, Beach Club, and Boardwalk, for you it would be Boardwalk.
Yeah, I think this would be my pick of those three. Yep.
And obviously that's about more than just the room. Obviously the entertainment, that's food. I'm guessing plays a role in that.
Yeah, location plays a big role in it. Boardwalk, there's just so much to do, and it's right there. And again, they're all within a short walking distance of each other, but I just feel like you're a lot closer, to the brewery and the ESPN and getting on a bike if you want to go around. It's all right there. There's a great general store. I got caught in a bad rainstorm walking around, and I went and got an umbrella, and there was just a lot of stuff right there within a short walking distance. Not that I didn't like the Yacht and Beach Club as much, but that would be my pick for sure. Yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned ESPN Club. That's another place where you can get some food on the Boardwalk. Not a place I go into a lot. Just way too much testosterone flying around at ESPN.
I wouldn't even call it a place to get food. I would say it's a place to get a drink and watch a game and escape rain and
if there
escape
is a
sunshine.
big game, then be ready to
But
wait to get seated.
They have a full menu. I mean, they serve food.
If you can call it food, then they serve it.
Judgment aside, it's a... Work with me here, Craig.
I'm feeling feisty today.
Yeah, well, knock it off. You can feel feisty outside. It is a full service restaurant.
Yeah, it's kind of what you'd expect from maybe like an Applebee's or TGI Fridays.
It's a sports bar.
Yeah,
it's a sports bar. But again, I'm having to wade through the thicket here with these guys. It is another dining venue on the Boardwalk.
Extremely popular during games. We were trying to watch the Colts play. Who? Will?
Oh, shoot, I can't remember who played.
Regardless.
But they brought bleachers out.
So there's a line to get in,
cool.
and it's, like you said, there are bleachers outside. They have TVs outside. So as far as for sporting events,
there are TVs
very
everywhere.
Popular.
There are TVs in the bathroom stalls.
Yes.
So if you have to go to the bathroom, you're not going to miss a play.
And it's one of those cool restaurants that does have the TVs right at the end of your table. So if you're in a booth, it has it right on there, and you can actually change it to yourself. So if you don't want to watch the game that they have on, you can put on whatever.
Mm-hmm. Now, Big River Grill, when I'm on the Boardwalk, and I'll tell you, this is pretty much my default place to go eat. If I don't feel like, if I don't have reservations at Flying Fish, because sometimes it's really tough to get in there, Big River Grill is my default. And again, they're not serving anything gourmet here, but it's very good and it's fresh, and service has always been good. Now, it's not owned by Disney. This is an outside enterprise, quote unquote. They do take tables in Wonderland, though, which I was really happy about, so you get your 20% off. But the big thing here, the big draw here, is that it's actually its own microbrewery, and when you walk inside, you will see like the big beer tanks, and they will, if you ask, if someone's available, take you on a tour back there. It's not a big tour because it's not a big facility. Yeah. But they make their own beer there. So you've done that.
I know. I still haven't done that yet.
You have.
Yeah, I've done it with Bob. We walked back there, and the brewmaster was there, so he was kind of walking us through step by step, and it was really interesting to do that. And it's a nice little addition to a dining experience or drinking experience to be able to go back there and check it out.
How are the beers?
Wonderful. I mean, they do have seasonal beers, so you might have your favorite beer, and if you come back like in the winter, that summer beer you wanted, they're not brewing that, they're brewing something else, but there's always their regular beers they have, and a nice variety.
And I believe I'm 99% right on this. I'm not 100% positive, but the brewmaster that originally opened up the place and made their standard beers is no longer there. He now is actually opening up another brew pub up in Winter Garden. So the fact that he can go off of this one that he already made in Disney was such a success, can go start a brand new beer pub with new beers, that means you actually make good beer. You can't just go and open up a second place if your first one isn't good.
It's going to be called Huge River Grill.
I personally enjoy the beer here. For me, microbreweries satisfy that weird compulsive collector in me. Like I want to try them all, and I love seeing like the different graphic design they use for the labels and stuff like that. I love this place, and it's good beer.
Now, outside, we talked about Trattoria Al Forno, which is an Italian restaurant. There is a to-go window there where you can get pizza, either eat there or bring back to your room. And although this is not a restaurant, it is worth mentioning the Boardwalk Bakery. Very popular place, and with good reason. They have some really, really great baked goods. And
Not only that, but sandwiches and soups.
Right.
It's always crowded every time I go in there.
Always crowded. And I mention this because, baked goods, the words baked goods and really good and Disney don't always work in a sentence together. I like to say that a lot of times, Disney seems to run their desserts through a flavor vacuum. So it looks really, really good, but it has absolutely no flavor. Or it's so dense it threatens to destabilize the crust of the earth. One or the other.
It's antimatter.
Yeah, basically. It's antimatter. But the Boardwalk Bakery is really popular, and it does get busy very quickly. It's always a good idea to get down there early. Mm-hmm. Stuff is made there. So a lot of times what you're getting early in the morning is very fresh and just made. So Boardwalk Bakery is a big draw for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
There are people from other resorts in the area that will walk over specifically to go there. And they also have some good coffee. They're doing the Joffrey's coffee there as well. So that's always a plus. So let's talk about some of the common areas. And that's kind of a big discussion when you talk about the boardwalk. Of course, the lobby. I think this lobby is stunning.
Yes.
And this lobby, again, does a great job of kind of setting that tone that you're in, turn of the century Atlantic City with the big carousel horse and a lot of the elements that they include in there. We're showing some pictures of that now. And again, for those listening and not watching, all of this is up on the site. All of the videos, all of the pictures, our blog, everything is all www.info.com is where you will find this every day. I think their lobby does a fantastic job. Now, there is a small store off the lobby in terms of shopping, and this is kind of your basic needs. Some of your DVC stuff is here, your sweatshirts, jackets, T-shirts, things like that.
Little snacks. But
you have little snacks and toiletries and things like that. Your big store is actually down on the boardwalk, and there is considerably more shopping at the boardwalk, I think. Maybe not considerably, but enough. You have a Wyland Gallery that's right there.
There's more than the average resort. Not as much as the Grand Floridian.
No.
But more than the average resort.
And then you have the Screen Door, which is
massive.
Massive store. And it is, and they have some cool stuff in there, but a lot of it is just regurgitated theme park merchandise that you can pretty much find anywhere. There are, that is also every DVC resort has a grocery component in one of its stores. This is where that grocery component is located, so you can get some frozen stuff, chips, sodas, things like that.
One of the things I liked at this resort is there was a little bit of whimsy in the lobby area, that you had like the stuffy chairs, and then you had like the chair by the fireplace there that looks like the lady just sitting there, and you had to sit on the
Those
lady.
are very creepy chairs. 'Cause
Yes.
I'm pretty sure in the early in the morning, like at 2 a.m., those come to life.
Yeah, they devour souls.
And they steal the dreams of small children.
But to me, it's like, Disney has a good sense of humor. And to me, that sort of looked like, they captured that from, the turn of the century time and decided to put that in there. Like
They captured it from something.
I think it's those things that make the theming of the boardwalk so effective, because while it is very elegant, it has that fun house effect, and fun houses can be creepy.
Well,
Yeah.
it's there's a split theming. We talked about the theming of the turn of the century Atlantic City resort, but also this was the first of the Stephen King themed resorts, especially when you get out to the pool, which I have called for years the Pennywise the Clown pool. If for those of you who have seen the movie or read the book It, this is Pennywise the Clown throwing up children. Because
Officially called the
children
kitty
come-
coaster, but
children come flying
Keister
out.
coaster.
Keister coaster.
Keister coaster, but children come flying out of his mouth, and it looks like Pennywise the Clown is throwing up children.
I had never been to the pool area, and I'd heard about the clown, and I'm like, ooh, that's sort of creepy, but that whole area sort of works together.
It does. It does. It takes on an entirely new level of creepy when you go there at night, and it's all lit up. And you're pretty sure this thing is going to, again, come to life
Yeah.
and steal your dreams. But it's a very fun pool. It's a very popular pool. You like that, huh?
Yeah.
It's throwing up children. That's an old one. I've been saying that for I can't tell you how many years. You'll notice there's a few over at Port Orleans French Quarter. You have that dragon that throws up things too.
Yeah.
So just little points of reference for your next visit. But go ahead. Next time you go to this pool and you sit there and you watch outside and the kids coming out, what are you going to think? It's throwing up
Yeah,
children.
just make the noise.
And you will chuckle. You will chuckle, and no one will know why. But yeah, it's a cool pool nonetheless. I mean, it is
very popular with children. I've stayed there in the DVC side with my family prior, and this was a hot spot for my kids. It's just visually appealing for children, and it's large. It has a very large, spacious feeling to it.
It is, and
There's a nice pool bar too. We grabbed something. I think we grabbed lunch there.
Yeah, we did.
We were at the Boardwalk. They had TVs out there at the pool bar too. So
Yeah, the Green Bay game was on.
And while the pool is awesome, it's not the focal point of the resort. It's kind of tucked away. It's off to the side. You really have to go look for it to see it. You're not going to stumble upon it.
right, exactly. Obviously on the boardwalk itself, we were talking about shopping. We were talking about the lobby, but also the entertainment. You have two diametrically opposed nightclubs at this resort, the most popular at Walt Disney World and the least popular at Walt Disney World. You have Jelly Rolls on one side, and then you have the place where fun goes to die, the Atlantic Dance Hall. Now, if you want to feel better about yourself, if you're feeling down and blue and you want to feel better about yourself, walk into Atlantic Dance, and you will see the one or two really sad drunk people who are usually the only two people in the place on a Friday night at 9 o'clock, dancing to 80s video, trying to recapture some lost youth. And you will feel better about yourself, unless, of course, you're one of those two people.
Well, on nights in which the cleaning woman isn't coming out instead of it being open, when it's actually open, there are a few regulars that show up, locals or cast members or something that, for whatever reason, feel like they need to dance in a circle of
and
no
these are
one.
usually these are usually people that have relapsed from AA. I'm pretty convinced. The one time we were in there for the drink around the world, and almost got into a fight with this one drunk guy who was like running into people, and it was crazy. And then you have like the solid gold sadness dancers out on the dance floor, looking up at the because it's got the big video screen, and they're just kind of. We have video of you drunk out of your mind doing that. You're looking
I
at.
think you were dancing to Whitney Houston.
Was I making fun of those people, or was I joining in?
You were joining in.
There is an exception to this.
You're on the early version of the sadness train. So just keep that in mind.
There is an exception to this, but there's no way to plan for it. You can't count on it. I've been to Atlantic Dance Hall more than once, and nothing ever happens until you hit about midnight. And if you are really lucky, somebody will have had some type of wedding ceremony that day, and the entire wedding party will come into the Atlantic Dance Hall in the evening, and then it kind of gets
turns
fun.
into a party. Okay.
It turns into a party, but there's no way to plan for that. It's luck of the draw.
Well, here's what
You're
I don't-
hoping somebody gets married and they come in.
Here's what I don't understand. It is a great venue, and it is a huge venue. And no matter, the only time this place was relevant, and it was for a brief moment in time, was when swing dancing was big. And
That's
they
when I
were
used to
bringing in like big bands.
In '97, that's what I went.
And they were doing swing dancing there, and that was the last time, 1997, that this place was truly relevant.
Well, if I'm not incorrect, this was built at a time where it was almost used as overflow for Pleasure Island, because there was a day when Pleasure Island would sell out. And, Walt Disney World needed more options, so they had Jelly Rolls and they had Atlantic Dance Hall. And Atlantic Dance Hall at the time kind of filled that same need as the Pleasure Island clubs. It was strictly a club. It wasn't a restaurant. or anything like that.
Why have these nightclubs, generally speaking, done so poorly? I mean, Pleasure Island closed because no one went, except Tommy Sandvik. Tommy Sandvik was the only person.
People went. They started chipping away at Pleasure Island for a while. Once they got rid of those gates and they opened that traffic from Marketplace to West Side. Once they opened that up, it removed the entire Pleasure Island feel that you were in an adults only district.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to go out, you're gonna have fun, you're drinking, and then there are families with strollers, and it's like you don't want to be like that around kids. So it kind of destroyed the feeling of Pleasure Island, and they started chipping away a while.
But they opened up those gates because not enough people were paying. They weren't getting, the place started turning into a graveyard because people weren't paying the, whatever it was, $20, $25 cover charge to get in.
Yeah, and I think with Atlantic, I mean, it is a huge failure, but the only reason that building's still there right now is they use it for some special events, but it is a huge... it's a huge place for people to hold their wedding reception.
Absolutely.
Right, sure,
That
absolutely.
is the only reason why that
great
building
venue.
is still
Yeah, it
there.
is.
A great venue for a wedding reception. Now, by contrast, literally right across the boardwalk, you have Jelly Rolls.
The one nightclub from that era that has actually survived.
Survived and thrived.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
let's just...
to the point that they still have a cover charge. It's
Oh yeah, and it's
$12
massive.
to get
I mean,
in.
it's like obscene.
Yeah.
But you know what? Worth it.
It hits the
Worth
sweet
it.
spot.
And here's why. It's a dueling piano bar. But the folks that have been playing there, most of them have been playing there for years and have developed followings. And there's a good reason for it. They're really, really, really good. We stopped in there for a little while the night we were there. We were actually at Boardwalk the last night of the 7 and 7. No,
that was Yacht
No,
Club.
Yacht Club was the last night. It was the next to last night. We were at the Boardwalk, and Will, Dustin, and I went in and hung out there for a little while.
There's one guy, you're talking about them having followings. There's one guy who's been there, I know, at least 10 years. He was there when I was on the college program. He's the tall, slender guy. He's like really tall. And he will play, upon request, he'll play Rainbow Connection in the Kermit the Frog voice and sit up on his piano and do little Kermit hands. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
And it's a great place. It's a lot of fun if you're looking for nightlife at Disney World. And
Always
we can-
happening. Yep.
We can be pretty broad about that statement. If you're looking for nightlife at Walt Disney World, it's Jelly Rolls is where you want to be. I don't think there's too many people that would disagree with that.
Free popcorn too.
Yeah, you have to kind of keep in mind they won't play anything. So I know over at Pat O'Brien's at City Walk, you can go in and you can request anything in terms of vulgarity in the songs.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at Jelly Rolls, you're going to hear a pretty strict Billy Joel standards, Elton John going in with
Country,
some
too.
Bruce Springsteen, anything that's very PG rated.
Well, it's
you'll hear
Disney,
there.
so I mean, Disney's not going to allow them to, Yeah.
You have to be 21 to get in, though.
Right. 21 to get in. What else on the boardwalk? Is there, am I missing
They
something?
have a sweet shop, but
Yeah.
it's kind of
Generic Disney candy.
Seashore Sweets is really good. It is one of the bigger sweet shops in any of the hotels, but they make a killer milkshake. go in there for the ice cream and milkshake if
Yeah,
you're going to
the
do
ice
that.
That's right.
cream's
There's
good.
ice cream there
Yeah.
as well, and the fudge is really good.
Yeah.
And then they also have the games that start up around, I believe, sunset, 6, 7 o'clock.
The midway
you can play.
games.
Exactly. Yeah, thank
You've
you.
got the midway games. You also have a lot of streetmosphere entertainers, you got,
Magician.
like magicians and things like that coming out on the boardwalk.
Yeah, the Busters.
Always a lot of fun. So let's talk about for kids. How do we feel about this resort for kids?
Well, I can tell you right up front, they have one of the dinkiest arcades.
Yeah, it's a very sad arcade.
In all of the deluxe resorts. I can't remember which one was in a broom closet, but this is second to that.
That was
the
Grand Floridian.
smallest and saddest is the one at Fort Wilderness.
Oh yeah, off the side of the saloon.
Off the side of the saloon, that literally is like 2 video games and like one of the claw things. And now that Disney's taking out all the claw machines, I think there's only like
There'll just be an ATM machine back there. Ooh, fun. Ooh, Spanish.
it'll be overflow for the bar.
Checkers.
But for kids, I think this is probably one of the better resorts and arguably the best of the deluxe.
I don't know if I would go that far because it doesn't have its own kids club. If you're staying at the Boardwalk, you do still have to go over to the beach club to take your kids there and drop them off at the Sandcastle Club at the beach club.
Well, you can also take them over to the Swan Dolphin. The Swan Dolphin has their Camp Dolphin.
True, but the point being, at this restaurant, there isn't a designated kids area. However, the pool area is fantastic. A lot of the resort is very visually appealing for children. Down on the Boardwalk in the evenings, the kids just love those buskers when they come out and they do their little sideshows. They really involve the kids in what they're doing, and you'll frequently see them they're just smiling and they're laughing. It's almost like it's not a carnival, but you still have the feel of a carnival for some reason, and it's something that my kids have always really loved it. So it's interesting where they don't have anything necessarily very specific for children. It's still one that is extremely pleasing for them. It's a great experience for them at the same time.
One of the things that not just kids but families alike really enjoy here are the Surrey bikes. The Boardwalk is where you rent the Surrey bikes, and I know kids go nuts over that.
We did that every year that we stayed at the Boardwalk without fail, and I'm not real big on paying for extra experiences. It's kind of like I want what's free, what comes with the resort. But the Surrey bikes were an exception to that because it is such a fun experience.
really is.
The kids, they love it, and it's a good exercise to ride that thing around the lake, but they just have the best time. It's all smiles and laughing, and
Yeah.
the kids really love it.
But keep in mind when you're doing the Surrey bike, because Teresa and I did that. There's 2 hills as you're going around.
Yes, there is.
And both hills, we had people help push us up the
Yes.
hill because Teresa and I were sitting there laughing so much. But the first hill by ESPN
Yeah,
Club,
that's the reason you needed the help.
well, but I mean, we were laughing, and you get those Surrey bikes are heavy.
They are,
And-
especially if you've got it loaded down with children who aren't helping pedal, right? Aren't providing energy to get you up
That's
the
the
hill.
problem. We had kids in there too. But and then over by the Swan Dolphin, there's another pretty good sized hill.
Getting up to the bridge, yeah.
So it can be relaxing, but it can also be a
The
workout.
flip
I
side
wa-
of that, though, is when you're coming down those hills. That's when the fun really begins.
Yeah, I also wonder how many people get taken out by those Surrey bikes because sometimes they come down those hills and they're doing like 70. And
Teresa hit a trash can. She was driving.
so, all right. So let's talk about overall score. Start with Corey. What do you think?
Okay, I love the Boardwalk. This is one of my favorites. I love a place where it's a destination. I love being able to walk around and have a choice of what to do, and the choice isn't really made for me. I think the room is wonderful. The villa, of course, I'm just judging on the standard room. I could see bringing my family here. The pool's wonderful. The arcade built in is terrible, but there's one connected to ESPN. Still, you have
That's
that.
a good point.
You still have the proximity of everything that I love about the Beach Club and Yacht Club, and also the Swan and Dolphin. So I gave the Beach Club a 9. I gave Yacht Club 8. I'm giving this 9.1.
9.1. All right, Kathy, what do you think?
I would give it a 9. Of the 3 resorts that's in that area, this would be my favorite. I would want to, this is a resort I would like to go back and experience, on my own time and see all the little things that the resort has to offer.
Okay. Will, what do you say?
I'm going to give it an 8.5. Best one at Crescent Lake. I would definitely, this would be one of the resorts that I would go and spend my own money, take my family, my fiance, and parents to for sure.
Okay. Craig?
I would give it an 8 only because I love looking at the boardwalk so much from the yacht and beach side that you kind of lose that. Yeah, there's so many great amenities staying over there, but I like to also be able to look at it in that grandscape because it really is that beautiful. So only because you can't see it looking right out your window.
Jenny Lynn?
I'm giving it a 9. This is actually my favorite of the resorts that we stayed in during the week. It's the theming, it's the location, it's the options. You've got a lot of dining options, a lot of shopping options. I also really love the views from the room. I've had a few over the years, whether it's a garden view or a view over the boardwalk itself, or even the pool. They just all seem to be really fun experiences for me. I've never had a bad experience at the boardwalk.
Dustin?
I agree with excuse me. I agree with JL. I think this is my favorite that we stayed at for these 7. I also agree with Corey in that this is a destination unto itself, and that's why I feel like it's about as close to perfect as a Disney resort can get. So I give it a 9.2.
Now, I will not give fractions of a point on my rating, but I give it a solid 9. I give it a solid 9. I agree. It is a destination resort. I think this is a resort that can do something that very few of them can. It can appeal to couples. It can appeal to families in equal measure, and there's something for everyone. Mm-hmm. There is what I find with most Disney resorts is they're kind of geared more toward one or the other. I don't find that with the boardwalk. I find that, it kind of can appeal to everyone. If they could do something with Atlantic Dance, something meaningful, and make that more relevant.
But take it up even to the next level.
I think this resort has the potential to go to a 10. I think if they were to completely redo the decor in the villas and do something with Atlantic Dance, this would be an unbeatable resort. So I'm going to give it a 9. So I think we all gave it pretty high marks there for the boardwalk, and we've been giving high marks for everything. Yeah. I think some of our listeners are going to be disappointed.
But these are also deluxe resorts, so it's really tough to, like when we gave low marks, usually they were the...
No. I've given low marks to deluxe resorts before. I've got some pretty good rants on file.
Yeah, I'm sure.
About the Contemporary in particular. The Yacht Club. I've given them low marks before. So the deluxe factor, even when we go into moderates or value resorts, I'm factoring in the cost. And I'm doing that here as well. So I don't know. I don't know if we just hit a good week or what. The only thing that was bothering me with some of the resorts early on, because we started our first one at the Beach Club January 5th, and a lot of the Christmas decorations were all up. Mm-hmm. We're still up. And, even on like the 7th, when we were at Wilderness Lodge, all those Christmas decorations were still up. When we got to the Grand and the Poly, I think they were down. I think after that, everything was down. Yeah. But that was one of the things that was bothering me, is it was well after Christmas, 2 weeks past Christmas, and they still have all the Christmas stuff up, and they still had all the music playing. It's like, it's not that I'm against Christmas. I love Christmas. It's just there's a time it has to stop, And, I wish Christmas could be a year-long thing, but it isn't. And there's a time where it's like, okay, I've been dealing with Christmas since the beginning of November. But, Disney seems to be pushing that limit, moving it out closer and closer, into the middle of January in some cases.
Probably King's Day. That's usually because I was asking, and they kind of follow the whole King's Day thing, so that King's Day fell.
But is this new? Because I don't remember them doing that.
Well, I don't know about with Disney. I just
By
know
King's Day, you mean the Epiphany?
yeah. Well, just King's Day, where the Kings came. But that's usually like the cutoff when you start taking down your Christmas decorations. We started on when did we start? We started Monday. I think King's Day fell that Tuesday. So we had 2 days of resorts that were still decorated.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, Wednesday, everything was gone.
I was going to say, on the flip side, though, for people that aren't able to make it out to Disney during the Christmas season, but still would enjoy the decorations, that's kind of their opportunity. I mean, and some people would see that as a bonus. I see why you don't see it as a bonus. I don't necessarily feel it's a bonus, but for others, it might.
I understand.
That might be a good thing.
Absolutely. But keep in mind, I think the Magic Kingdom had its Christmas decorations up until like the 12th, the 12th of January. So, but all right, that is going to do it for this episode. Tomorrow we have our last and final resort as part of our 7 and 7 series, and that's Old Key West. So be sure to tune in for that. Thanks for being with us, everyone. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again tomorrow with another edition of the Diz Unplugged. Have a great one, and remember, stay out of the damn lakes.